Safety and the Miller Brothers Complex, Public Safety Complex. We'll open this discussion with the administration. No? Okay.
They're not here.
Who on?
We're going to start with Rob Mars,
Okay.
giving an overview of phase one, and then we'll move into PNC and Mars.
All right. Good to know. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Bob Mars, and I have Adam Trott with me. And Adam prepared the schedule of activities that went on starting back in March. Why don't you go through your schedule there, Adam?
Yeah, thanks for having us. So the project started in March when the city brought us on board. We went through preliminary, design development, construction documents. The project went out to bid in parts. With the impending season of winter coming, we broke out the roof from the rest of the project, and we bid that out separately and got bids in July's. And we have since signed contracts, had a pre-construction meeting just today. And so they're off and running. The idea is to replace the roof ahead of the rest of the project, because if we get the roof on, then the rest of the project can continue on when the winter comes. So that's what we're doing right at the moment. We'll go over numbers here for a second. We had two estimates done on the Phase 1 Erie Fire Department Service Garage project, 22,000 square feet plus or minus. And the initial estimate from preliminary design was up around 9 mil. We have since then taken the project through design development, had another estimate, and that estimate came in at 8.4 mil. When we broke out the roof, if you take the trophy point estimate and you break out the scope of work that we have bid right now for the roof that we have under contract, their estimate was a little over 1.4 million. The bids for that work ranged between 1.1 million and 650,000, give or take. Okay, we vetted the low bidder. We took the low bidder because they met all the requirements. So we're ahead of the game on this first phase, cost-wise. If you look at the other bids, this low bid was an outlier, so they got vetted pretty heavily, right? If you look at the other bids, they're around 1.1 million. Trophy Point's estimate was 1.4. So we're coming in ahead of the costs. Mm-hmm. If you look at the low bid was $738,000 less than the estimate. The other bids that were close together were still $375,000 below the estimate. So our early indications are that so far we're doing well compared to the estimate. Now, as it stands right now, so if we take Trophy Point's 8.4 mil estimate and we replace the roof repair that we just bid out and have contracted for, it reduces Trophy Point's estimate using all their other figures from 8.4 to 7.7 mil. So we're pushing the number downward. We won't know how the rest of Phase 1 does until we get the bids. And the bids are due October 2nd. The bids will go out at the end of this week, and we have a pre-bid on site on September 11th, and then bids are due on October 2nd. At that point, then we'll know what the rest of Phase 1 costs. And so that's where we're at with this.
Can you give us a Reader's Digest on Phase 1? What does it include?
So Phase 1 is the Erie Fire Department Service Garage, And that is getting everything that the fire department, with the exception of a few offices, it gets all their garage functions out of Marsh Street and into the facility at 23rd and French. It's a wonderful relocation because the space is what they need versus Marsh Street. They have to compromise. They don't have height and all that stuff, so they do what they do to get their job done. This will enable them to do all their job under roof. And
Is there a
Marsh,
ballpark figure?
say that
I know
again?
you get the bids coming in October.
October
Is there a
2nd.
ballpark figure?
Well, according to the Trophy Point estimate, we would be 7.7 less, so around 7 mil is where Trophy Point's sitting right now, after we take out the roof repair part of their estimate.
So the money needed would be 7 plus the 1.4 for the roof. So we're talking, what, 8.5?
Well, Trophy Point was at 8.4, but that was with 1.4 for the roof, but the roof is actually 680,000 plus or minus. So with that factored into Trophy Point, that takes a Trophy Point estimate from 8.4 to 7.7.
How did that happen?
Bidding. It's, when you estimate, estimators definitely don't want to tell you a low figure, because then they get crucified for selling you short. So they estimate conservatively, but I'll tell you, the construction industry is a real potluck game right now, with all the tariffs and lack of staff being able to build materials or build buildings. You know, the trades are hurting. So there's a lot of dynamics right now. Fortunately, the way it worked out is we got a bidder who was hungry, and they're a family-owned business. So they have a lot of their costs are in-house. They're not farming out stuff. So it saved us a lot of money. One of the things we wanted to vet was, hey, this is a public works project. It's got prevailing wage, all that, So we checked into the history of these guys. These guys do a lot of public work projects. They're out of Buffalo, so it's in New York State. But they've got universities and public works projects under their belt. So, it was a good fit for what their work experience is versus what we need them to do here.
Will they take in consideration the minority percentage that we look at?
They would if they had any subs. They're family-owned business and they do it all in-house. So they are not going out to hire subs to be responsive to that. And they did ask about that early. And we told them, well, it's a goal of the city. If you're hiring any subs, we want to see some activity. But they don't have subs. They do it all.
And I also think that what you made a great point too is that this, saving money is phenomenal, love it, right? But this was probably an outlier in that this much of a saving we can't really expect, especially with tariffs and everything else that are going forward. So this part, we probably won't see that replicated with that big of a. That's like 2/3 versus. Right.
When you compare A1 Construction and Painting is the successful bidder. Okay, when you compare their $684,000 bid to the 1.4, that's 52% under the estimate, which is quite a number. If you look at the bidders that were real close together, just a little over $1 million each, they're still 26% under the estimate. And those are companies we all know. So, early indications are encouraging. They're not a guarantee, but they are encouraging.
So outside the roof, because we see that we have approved to have that done, you've bidded it out, it's going to save money. From the $7 million that we still have in the Tier 1 phase, what all is included outside of the fire being in-house? Is that just the fire? Because I know it's like 3 different phases.
It's just the fire department
Okay.
service garage, and it includes chief mechanic, equipment cleaning, the evidence room, and the dog suite for Horace. Horace is awesome. But, so, yeah, it includes them, and other than the offices they have on the north side of the building and that one little extra piece on the north side of Marsh Street, everything else is coming out to French.
Plus, it includes all new siding at French Street, exterior siding, insulation,
Windows.
and new glazing.
Yeah, when you get into the scope of the Phase 1 project, essentially, we take the building envelope off, down to steel framing and concrete block base wall. And we completely redo an energy-efficient envelope. So repurposing that building from just a metal skin shell with 1.5 inches of bad insulation that's badly deteriorated from age, we're putting in a 5-inch thick roof, a 3-inch thick wall system, all insulated. It's metal sandwich panels. I mean, yeah, it's the whole point was mitigating operational costs down the road, so. The other thing that's really nice about this project for the fire department service garage is it gives them a much healthier working environment. Part of this project is a big ventilation system. So the air changes in that garage to keep the particulates out of the lungs of the mechanics, we have the exhaust hoses, so, they're not getting diesel fuel, but there's a lot of work that goes on in the garage, and there's a lot of air changes, and we're gonna meet and exceed that with this project, so real happy about that.
That's very good.
Yeah, keep our
No
people
one
healthy.
should be working under cancerous conditions.
Oh, my gosh.
So get all that stuff out of there.
Yeah, and they have the exhaust now, so they're not breathing in diesel exhaust, but no, it's going to be a much improved environmental condition inside that building for them, So we're real happy about that.
Do you have any kind of time frame when that Phase 1 will start?
Yeah, it's kicked off today. There's going to be some downtime because we have shop drawings of the roof system. And it takes time to do the shop drawings and then to manufacture and deliver them to the site. So we have a number of weeks that nothing's going to happen on the site because it's all being done in the back room and over the internet and all that stuff. What we want to do is make sure that when we determine the date that they mobilize, and we're waiting for the dates from the manufacturer of the roof panel on that, when that's determined, then we'll back out what they need to do before they receive the roof panels, and that's when we disrupt the fire department's current use of that space. Right now, they keep some stuff in there, they keep some vehicles, they have some training apparatus in there. So I don't want to upset that until we're absolutely ready to go. So we're gonna condense that, and then we anticipate that the successful bidder of the rest of the project will probably have a little bit of overlap with them finishing up the roof, because we'd like to get those people in there to do some of their infrastructure work and everything, as long as they can play well with the other contractor, then the first phase of the roof will kind of slide right into the rest of the project.
Barring any bad weather, we've allocated, I think, December 1st or so to finish up the roof project.
Okay.
Yeah, technically, their contract goes to late December,
December 29th.
but we're pushing to see how much we can expedite that. And it all comes down to this roof panel manufacturer. And the reason why this one is who we're going with is because their lead time was like 2/3 to half what the other manufacturers were. This one's being made up in Michigan. Falk is the name of the manufacturer. And when they came on board with those kinds of figures for lead time, we're like, oh yeah, we'll take all the advantage we can get,
Is there a
for this.
cost effect to them if they don't make their time? In other words,
Oh,
they're
a
gonna-
penalty?
Yeah.
There is no penalty built into the contract.
Then how do we know they're going to do it?
Well, the references. When I check their other public works and their university works, people said that
They
they
got it done.
performed in a timely manner, and they also said that they were good when something comes up on the site to troubleshoot, which is a big personal thing for me. You know, no project's perfect, and you want a team that will really work as a team when something comes up in the field, and their references came back glowing for that, so I was glad to hear that.
Thank you.
So the timeline from start to finish for phase one is what?
So the overall project finished late August. So the transition from finishing the roof and gliding into the full bore of the rest of the project, that's going to happen somewhere around late November into December, and then December on, or late December on, then whoever the other successful contractor is, will be carrying it through to August. And there's isolation measures that are being done so that what you will see is the contractor of the roof will take over that parking lot in the middle of the block, and they'll have access to the parking lot and our project area in the southeast corner at 23rd and French. And that's the extent of their access into the site. The rest of the site is secured off, and then when it's handed off to the other contractor, they'll have the same situation. They'll have the yard, they'll have their structure, the 22,000 square feet we're doing now, and that's it. That's it. Everything else is secured off.
So they don't have to close the street?
Not unless they have a situation with a crane. There's a big steel beam, a big steel girder that we got to get out of there. It's in the way of the new work. And it's part of that failed roof area. See, we were going to leave it in place because it's twisted. You can't use it anymore. But it's in the way of our new roof plane that we're establishing on the north half of the building. So we got to get it out of the way.
Today we did talk about sidewalk closures when they need to do that, safety precautions, so.
Yeah, street, if there's any closures in the street, it would be East 23rd Street, because the beam they have to take out is in the west part of the building, so it's kind of buried in the block, you know. We don't anticipate anything of French Street, and then, like Joel said, we did permit that if they need to close the sidewalk off, because they need to get up on that side of the building, you know, then we're okay, you can close it off just to a limited extent. Because their question, and this came up during bidding, their question was, do we have to make those scaffold protectors on the sidewalk? It's like, no, because you don't want to build it for 3 days and then take it down, you know? So we've got it where, yeah, you can just block off the sidewalk during that short period that you need to do that, if you need to do that.
So that isn't a route to collegiate, that's my only worry. So if that does get blocked during the school time, making sure we have a safe route for the students who might be walking up. If it comes to
Right.
that stage, right, I would think making sure the students have an accessibility, because that will be right in their walk zone.
Yeah, so we'd want them to go on the east side of French when they are in the project area. And we also stipulated you can't block off Siebenberger. So they got a good membership. We
do.
want to be nice with those guys.
Is there a possibility this same construction company will bid on phase one as well?
I bet they
Yeah,
will.
they did show interest. They showed interest.
I bet they will. We'll see how they do.
Right.
You know, before this project, they had like 5 bid projects that they didn't get. They were higher than the low bidder. They were just getting more and more hungry, so and that's why you have bidding. But
And we do have performance bonds and payment bonds in place for 100% of the project. So if there's any problem with them, if they would fail in any way, then the city's protected with 100% payment bonds,
yeah.
performance bonds. And then we regulate how much they get paid, so we review their work. We only pay them the amount of work that they do, and then we hold back 10% until they get to at least half the job, and then we hold back 5%. But, so you're always protected with more money than is built into the job all the way through.
Yeah, and that's pretty common in the construction industry, so common that sometimes I forget to even explain that. Thanks, Bob.
It clears the air a little bit. 'Cause
Fills in the gap. you
Yeah,
know?
you're not gonna,
Right.
I'm gonna have no penalty for being late, then I'm gonna be late. It's like school, right? If you come in late and they don't say anything, you're gonna do it again. That's
Yeah.
all. This is average man's concern about it, that's all. But I understand it since Bob explained it.
I mean, I think everyone is open to the idea of new companies getting an opportunity to, participate and seeing how they perform. So I would like to know, how the project goes, just because it's always nice to know that family-owned businesses are stepping up and, accessing these opportunities. Participating in the bidding process can be intimidating, especially because it's a lot of paperwork more than likely. And a lot of people don't like to deal with that. So I'm happy that someone is trying things. I know this has been a need for quite some time. I don't know if there were specific questions that we needed to ask, but I know that this is going to be the time to find out anything that we might have, because this is an issue that's on the agenda tomorrow. We're going to be voting on the bond, and if you guys or ladies have problems with anything, now is the time to do that.
The total bond is what, 52?
I think that's round 2 of our special guests that are coming.
Right.
We have another set.
This is the nuts and bolts.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's where all my questions will be too. So.
So do we have any more questions for the roof for the Tier 1 phase of the development?
no, I just wanted to say that Phase 1 is my main concern, mine personally. I am pro-public safety, and all of us want the fire truck not to break down on the way to our house
Right.
if we have that issue. So Phase 1 sounds good to me.
I mean, I like the idea of them being able to operate in-house whenever they're maintaining their machines, and the building being tall enough for them to actually,
Yes.
use the machine, the building to access, because right now they're in a smaller building and they're not able to use some of the space.
Yeah, they have to do it
They have
outside,
to do it outside to get the ladder.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
so they don't have to in this new building.
Yep. So that's one of the reasons why I've been in favor of it. I know it's an expense to future taxpayers, but it's a need, especially with the current buildings infrastructure, deteriorating under them. That's kind of alarming as well.
What's the, I know up at Mark Street, one of the concerns was the flooring and stuff like that in the building. What is that like at this new place? Is that something that will?
It's all slab on grade. There's no basement underneath, no lower level, so it's ideal. Yeah.
Do we have an asbestos issue?
Not in this phase.
That's not an answer.
Well,
You tell me.
because,
The other, I know, I'm
because
teasing you.
we're not doing the rest of the building right now, so.
Right.
we
There will be
We did bring
problems.
an environmental
Building's old.
consultant on. They did what's called a Phase 1 analysis on the entire property, which we do have a report. I think the report was shared with
Yep.
council. It's about a 700-page report detailing the potential environmental issues with the site. And then we also had our consultant do an assessment of the 20,000 square foot area that we're focusing on right now for the fire department. And their results came back actually pleasant. Minimal.
Well, essentially, there were 4 items in the current Phase 1 Erie Fire Department Service Garage part. One is the light fixtures, metal halide, HID, and fluorescent. They have to be disposed of a certain way. There was a little bit of mold in the west mezzanine, so we had to alert them, hey, if it's bad enough, you got to protect your workers, okay? These bidders own all this. And then there was a little bit of lead content in the metal panel siding and roofing. But it wasn't the kind that alerts, sends up alarms, but it was there. So we shared that with the contractor, and the contractor owns appropriately removing those materials, you know, how, and it's up to them to determine what their practices are, because they answer to OSHA, so.
We didn't look at asbestos, too.
Yeah, there wasn't any
Wasn't there.
asbestos. And we tested, I think, either 19 or 20-some different materials in that building, just to be sure.
In phase one.
And
In the
in
phase one.
the
20,000
service
square foot
garage, yeah.
section. And what we don't know is the remainder of the building. We did get a budget from our consultant, what that would look like for the remainder if the project came to fruition. And the proposal was around 35,000 for the analysis, environmental analysis, testing samples. Not abatement, but looking at everything and sampling.
That's a high ceiling budget, like, they said, you know, it could get as much as this depending on what we start finding, but.
So if we finish the whole project, what kind of nut are we talking there?
Oh, there's
Construction?
so many unanswered
Construction
questions.
wise? No way of knowing? So in other
I
words,
think the city did a study early on.
right,
of the
I'm
whole
just,
building. So we haven't done the study.
I just want to know how deep the hole is, that's all. You know,
Right, right.
that's,
Do you know how close we are to finding the 35,000 to do the environmental study for the whole?
That would be initiated when there's an approval to proceed into the next phase.
So phase 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the total site environmental phase 1 study was kind of a little bit in addition to what we're actually doing, that southeast corner. So we had the environmental guys there, it was talked with the city, and we decided, oh, we'll have them do the phase 1 on the whole site. Let's get it done now since they're there. But further studies than that are a lot more involved, so, you know, we held back on that.
Any other questions? Concerns?
No, I feel confident with their content.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they were able to save so much on the roof, just by going with a lesser build, I'm bitter. I'm happy with them trying to save costs, because this is going to be a big expense for the city and the taxpayers.
we were fortunate enough to get the best, so that's what we're getting. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Pretty good job.
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Be careful of the edge of the stage.
You don't know the nut we have to crack.
You gotta tell us.
And it's gonna take 56 million.
I don't want you not being able to ride your bike.
Pretty-
So the bond stuff.
That's not the part, this isn't the part that scares me. The next part scares me. This is what I'd fight for, phase one.
I think it just got finished.
Good, how are you? I have the same shirt. Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if everyone know everyone, I know I don't, so I'm Mel Witherspoon.
My name's Alicia Henry. I work for PNC Capital Markets, and I serve as your investment banker when you do bond issues. So I'm only here when you need me, and it's a pleasure to be here and have this opportunity to have this setting for you guys to ask questions, and I would urge you to interrupt me if I don't speak clearly or if something isn't understandable, please. Thank you.
Once again, I'm Tim Wachter with the Knox Law Firm, sitting in for Tim Sennett, and I can confirm that we have worked for a very long time with Alicia and been very happy with the partnership on these deals. We're helpful on our end as the bond attorneys to help structure this, to help get the Local Government Unit Debt Act approvals in place. But Alicia really does the lion's share of the work in putting the numbers together and getting the underwriting out.
Thank you, Tim. My handout is on the projector, so I'm going to tell you when I'm turning a page so that the public can also follow along with our handout. If you could flip past the cover to page 1. Since I haven't met a lot of you, I thought a good place to start would be... Yes.
Here, it's okay. No, I'm gonna watch off of here.
We got one.
This is the city's existing debt. This is a nice one-page summary, and I also have an appendix in the back of this presentation as a fall behind or leave behind that's greater detail than this. But on the left-hand side, you have your bonds listed by series. That's how we sell bonds. Series of the calendar year it was sold. Original par. Par is a fancy word in bonds. It just means principal. Outstanding balance is the amount of principal still owed on those individual bonds. The final maturity is the last payment of each of those individual bond issues. And the call date, different from a bank loan, bond issues do offer the bond purchasers call protection. We do monitor your bond issues for refinancing capabilities. We can refinance on and after those dates. You'll see that your 2015 bonds are callable this November. It's something I keep in contact with Lisa about. Those are very small amounts, and I don't foresee those producing any real savings. The bulk of your bonds you'll see at the end. Your larger bond issues are callable in 2029, and there could be greater refinancing opportunities at that time. As of today, the city has $53,570,000 in change of principal outstanding. And for those of you who don't like numbers, there's a bar chart below that's color-coded by the series of bonds. And you'll be able to see through 2032, just to remind everyone that the city was able to prepay nearly $80 million worth of debt through fiscal year 32 from the Erie Water Works lease prepayment. And the city's debt goes out currently till 2039.
Just so I'm reading this correctly, this means how much we're going to pay on the side, right? That year we pay this much?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Any questions on page 1? All right, then I will flip to page 2. And these are more bond legal laws that Knox and Tim make sure that we follow. But this is a summary of what we're looking at. The city is looking to complete certain capital improvement projects, most notably renovations to the Miller Brothers building. Tax-exempt general obligation bonds provide a flexible, cost-effective financing option. The proposed structure of the series of 2025 bonds is to fund a project of $30 million, which I understand would cover all 3 phases of the Miller Brothers project. We look to wrap around the city's existing debt service to minimize the budgetary impact. And I'm going to show you options that involve capitalized interest, where the city can borrow all or a portion of the interest during construction to help phase in the debt service. You're legally permitted to capitalize interest during construction plus 1 year. Everything that I'm discussing today assumes the city's current bond rating, which is single A, underlying with Standard & Poor's. You have a stable outlook, and that was last reviewed in January 2025, so that is in good standing. The funding of a bond issue typically takes 75 to 90 days, and federal tax law requires a commitment to spend 5% of the proceeds within 6 months, which by having Miller Brothers, or having Roth-Mars involved would meet that test. You would have to spend 85% of the bond proceeds in 3 years.
Confusing question, I guess. You just told me that it's gonna be $30 million to do the project, and when we had the boys in here, they couldn't give me a figure. They gave you a figure of 30 million?
I was given the figure of 30 million.
Okay, everybody was here when I asked the question, right? And they
was coming with the next phase.
couldn't tell us, yeah. That's
Let-
worrisome.
Let's say it's not as, could we spend that money also on streets too?
No.
No.
So what we're doing is a not-to-exceed amount right now, so we're getting an authorization on a not-to-exceed, and the final number will be met at closing. You have to spend the money on the projects that you express specifically in the offering statement, which has already been prepared.
And just to clarify, so Roth-Mars only did phase one, so they can only give you an amount for phase one, but when Boswick did the initial cost estimate, it was $30 million for the whole project, and that has still been consistent throughout from what we're finding.
What happens if you have leftover money and you used it all on the project?
You mean if the project's paid before the money is done? Or before you've used all the money?
Let's say we used all the money, the project's done, or we haven't used the money. We have some money left.
So the project came in at 25 million and you have $5 million left over?
Right.
We can use that money to pay it off or take a look at some other options at that point for other capital projects that may be approved. But unless we're able to put that specifically in the offering statement in the specific of the ordinance, I would caution against spending the money on different projects. How you spend the money affects the tax treatment that we're speaking about with this.
Thank you. Alicia, can you explain non-bank qualified to me?
Yes, great question. Non-bank qualified is a term specific to bond issues. $10 million is a calendar year benefit. Bank qualification allows banks to purchase the bonds and write off a portion of the interest. Since 2017, the Jobs Act and tax cuts and the corporate tax cuts, bank qualification has become less of a benefit because of the corporate tax payments have decreased. So we used to focus very particularly on trying to force bonds to being bank issue, but we've seen bank qualified rates not trade any different than bank qualified rates right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further questions on page 2? Page 3. 4 and 5 are all very similar, and I'm going to try to explain to you exactly where I'm talking so that I don't confuse you. It's a busy page, I understand. So page 3, on the left-hand side, you have the light green heading, debt service schedules. The first column is your existing debt service that carries over from the bar chart on page 1. Column 2 is the pro forma or expected debt service payment on the proposed $30 million bond issue. If you take the existing debt service and the proposed structure of the 2025 bonds, the light green column would be the new debt service budget for the city. If you look on the right-hand side, the assumptions I'm using is, again, a project size funded $30 million to the city, closing somewhere in November. All of your principal due dates are November 15th, and assumes the city's A rating with a stable outlook. And now if I could take you back to the second column on the left-hand side, I want you to see follow the $1.57 million all the way down to 2039. And then you'll see the payments step up to 5.7 million. That's what a wraparound is with bond issues. From fiscal year 26 to 39, that's essentially an interest-only loan. The Department of Community and Economic Development, as well as the Local Government Act, it requires me to sell bonds that are level and declining. So I am allowed to wrap the debt service around when the existing debt service of the city is all paid off and start amortizing this bond.
What are we currently, so this, the one on the left, so just, I just want to make sure I'm following, is
Absolutely.
what we're paying right now and what we will pay.
Correct.
And then this will be, so right now, like, we're paying like 1.6, so almost 1.7.
Yes.
In 2023, that will go up to almost 11 million.
Correct.
Well, I hope I'm not dead by then. But
I hope you're not either.
They said that way too loud, man. When the old guys make jokes, you get the hard of hearing.
I will not.
I've been doing it 25 years now, but when I first did this, I'm like, I'll be alive when
Yes.
they pay these bonds off, and now I have to pray about that. But I want you to see that the debt service on the left-hand side, that's what I'm working with. If I just add the $1.57 million, everything that you're seeing in the light green column is those two columns being added together.
So let me ask, you had said that we were able to refinance debt in 2029. Will that affect how the wraparound works if we end up stretching out some of these balloons of the $9 million payments?
That's what I'm hoping, that there'll be a useful life left in the assets that were originally financed, that I would be able to restructure, and those payments that are looming in 2023 would be able to be refinanced and smooth out those bubbles.
Okay.
what was originally financed? Like, what is the, I know that was, sorry.
15 and
Because you said that,
Wasn't
because
ready
useful
for
life.
that one,
I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Titus.
No, but let me see.
What things are we trying to remain useful?
I'm gonna look
probably
in the gap,
streets.
and
What's that?
I'm gonna
Probably
probably
paving.
have to have Knox. If you go in the way back, page 9, past all these pages in the lower right-hand corner, I told you I had a leave behind, which is the existing debt portfolio of the city with a little bit more notes.
What
So,
page did you say, sorry?
page 9, I'm
Okay.
sorry. If you look on page 9, each individual blue box is an individual bond issue. And if you look down, probably 3/4 of the way down, it says purpose. The 2015A was a refinancing. The 2015B was a refinancing and new money, so we could look into the 2015B and see what that new money was. But if you flip to page 10, the 17As, the 19As, those are all refinancings, and you can see how far back some of the debt traces back. So, for example, on page 10 for the 2017As, it's not likely I'd be able to stretch out something from 1998, but it is maybe more likely in the 2019A, something done in 11, 12, 15. Those, we'd have to go back to Knox and dig through legal documents to see what was actually financed with those. And then they don't let PNC just refinance, they would tell me what the longest maturity I would possibly be allowed to do legally to keep them tax exempt. So that would be something, obviously, we could bring back to you.
And oftentimes, the ordinance adopting the actual debt authorization lists what the maturity,
Okay.
the useful life of the asset is. Sometimes we say in excess of 40 years, depending on what it is. But we'd have to go through each individual bond issue and make that determination.
Okay. So if it was like what Councilor Nelson had said, like streets, like some of that had gone to use for that, probably not useful life left in? a
Probably
street?
not from 1998.
Right, okay, so, Okay.
No, but you're
Poli-
getting an idea. If assets,
Yes.
like, there's also times where the asset outlives its useful life, and if you're still utilizing that asset, then you can get a certified engineer to
Claim
get
that it's-
Knox comfortable that there is useful life in that asset, so that's what we would have to do to prepare for fiscal year 29.
Okay. So my brain is just, I just want to make sure, so we don't fully know if we can, so those balloon payments that we're asking about possibly could get some usefulness out of things, but if it was used for the streets, probably not.
Correct. It would also depend on what's going on in the market at that particular time, and you would want to deal with your financial advisors and PNC to try to do a determination as to whether it would be reasonable to do so. If you took the money at 6% and bonds are trading at 10, maybe you don't want to do that. You have to do a cash flow analysis versus the total investment that you're doing. We don't advise on that ourselves, but there's a lot of decisions that have to go into the question of whether you're going to do refunding.
Okay.
But please know that's something we would work very closely with you and your administration to help you with.
And if you want, I can start digging through the bond documents and get you a list of what the projects were that were refunded that are outstanding.
I mean, we have to vote on it tomorrow, so unless you're pulling an all-nighter, I don't think that we'll get
Wasn't
there by.
planning on
No,
it.
right. So big decisions will be made, but yes, I would still like to know, because even this column will still be here to exist.
Correct.
Even if this one doesn't, this one will.
Would you see that all of us receive that, please?
Yes.
Okay, everybody back to page 3?
Yep.
So what I'm going to do after page 3, I'm going to show you 2 more options, so I want you to focus now on the bond statistics. The total budgetary impact of a $30 million bond issue with no capitalized interest, which means the full freight of this bond will hit your next budget year, is $1,575,000. You'll see in fiscal year 27, it's 0, in fiscal year 28. So this is how you fund the bond issue with no capitalized interest, but there is no phase-in. It does hit your budget immediately. The next 2 options I'm going to show you where it doesn't hit in all 1 year. It will hit in multiple years, and what the cost to do that is, what the give and take is of being able to phase it in. So, did I go through this in a way that you were able to follow? Because the next couple pages look exactly the same.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Then if you could flip to page 4, you'll see that this bond issue contemplates capitalized interest, which means the city is borrowing money to help pay interest during construction. So column 1 is exactly the same. Nothing changed. Column 2 is slightly more expensive than the $1,575,000. And the reason for that is column 3, capitalized interest. You're capitalizing interest to help through budget year 26 and 27. And that is really the only difference between all the options I'm showing you in the very near-term budgets. So if I could take you to the bond statistics on page 4, the budgetary impact in fiscal year 26 on this option is 0. You're borrowing $1.7 million to make all the interest payment on the new bond. Fiscal year 27, we created a two equal phase-in is $860,000, and fiscal year 28 is $160,000. So this is what we call like a 2 or 3 year phase-in, however you look at it. These are the examples, and I can work very closely with your administration on how to fit this best in your budget, but I'm showing you how flexible the capitalized interest is. And during construction, if you say to me, Alicia, this is what we can afford in our budget, I can capitalize interest down to the dollar to meet the increases. But I do want to explain that there's a cost to that because I have to borrow that interest.
How much difference is 1% as far as interest? Say the market gets much better.
Probably about
I don't want to hold your feet to the fire, I'm just,
Well, now, if you want me to do
Think-
math in my head and we're
thinking
at
out loud.
5% and we're at 1.7 million, I'm gonna say this is all mostly interest. A whole percent's gonna take you down probably 400,000. Because we are looking at, 20-year paper.
right.
And then if I would take you to page 5, this is what you call full capitalized interest, just so you can start seeing how the math works. Page 5, again, the existing debt service is exactly the same. The 2025 is slightly more expensive because we're now capitalizing interest for fiscal year 26 and 27. And then if I take you to the bond statistics, the total budgetary impact is 1.77 million. No budgetary impact in fiscal year 26, no budgetary impact in fiscal year 27, and you're shifting all the budgetary impact to fiscal year 28.
May I ask a question? I'm not sure who I'm asking it to. Do we vote on these options sometime soon? Like, this isn't, we're not voting on the various options tomorrow. Do we
No.
vote on an option there?
No, you can vote on the, you can give direction to me up until I sell bonds, how you want
Which
to
of these
do this.
options?
But
So-
do we as council do that, or does the administration?
Yeah, so that's part that I don't know. I have not voted on bond ever before. Do we ever make that decision, or do we just leave that decision out in the air? We leave that decision out in the air?
So the decision that the ordinance that's on your docket for tomorrow is an ordinance to issue bonds in an amount not to exceed
Yeah.
$52,350,000.
Yeah, that's all it says. I mean, that's all I read.
The specifics of how you do it and these various options are what Alicia's trying to show you as to how it's going to impact your total debt service. So you can influence the administration in the manners in which you influence the administration,
But all three of these options fit under the not to exceed. When Tim and I were here a few weeks ago, you build up the not to exceed so that I can structure the bonds in the way that you want. Right now, I'm wrapping them. I'm showing you how I can capitalize interest. The not to exceed tomorrow will cover any of these options. How you interact with the administration, I'm not sure, and that's something you guys.
So you're saying that we cannot vote on phases of the project based on their costs?
No, that's not what I was talking, that's not what's being discussed. The three options that were being presented, we don't actually make a decision on that anyways. She's just offering us potential outcomes of what it could end up being like, but we're not gonna have any say over those three options. Those aren't those are not our options to choose from.
So we're voting on the total package.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference on our budget next month that we start looking at. I mean, this one has, would you go back to option 1?
Well, actually, could we go to page
Sorry.
6?
Yeah,
Because
sorry,
I think
thanks.
this is
Sure,
really gonna paint a picture, because the reason why I added the capitalized interest options weren't in my original packages, because the bond issue is gonna close towards the end of the year, and it might, I understand that fitting this into the budget is something, could take more time than what you have to work with. So, page 6 shows you the three different options. Option 1 is the new money financing, no capitalized interest, has the lowest total budgetary impact over the life of the bond. Budgetary impact, but it will happen as soon as the next budget you're working on, $1,575,000. Option 2 is a partial capitalized interest. I can actually make, this is how flexible capitalized interest is, I can take this number and I can make 3 equal phase-ins, or I can give you no budgetary impact in fiscal year 26, and even budgetary impacts in 27 and 28. And option 3, the most expensive, capitalizes interest completely for 2 full budget years. So you'll see the total cost and the budgetary impact in total, there's $145,000 a year to do option 2, to change from 1 to 2. There's a cost to doing the capitalized interest and having that phased-in approach. Is that what you were hoping to?
Yeah, so what I'm, like, because we're gonna be looking at the budget in 2 months. And like, I'm going to want to see option one, the cheaper option that costs more in the 2026 budget though. Like, that's what I'm going to want to see in the budget, rather than to have a 1-year avoidance of taxes, to look clean and kick the can down the road immediately when we're already seeing quite a deficit. Like, I'm going to want to see option one in the 2026 budget when we see it in 2 months, as this is getting sorted out. So I just want to make that clear, if this bond passes, that's what I'm going to be looking for in the budget.
I know we're in the process of getting a new analysis from PFM, but that might be probably an administration question. Do we, like, what is our capacity for debt serve, like, do we, like,
I think we're at
what was-
2.6 for next year.
2 points?
Off the top of my head. We just had it.
260 million capacity?
Thanks. I'm good.
Is that what you mean, the legal capacity, your debt capacity, or was it a different kind of capacity? Yeah, your debt capacity is actually your last 3 years of revenues, and you average them. And Lisa and I did a kind of a back of the envelope. That averages to about $103 million. Then you multiply that number by 2.5%, and every city in Pennsylvania lives by these same rules. You take your last 3 years of revenues multiplied by 2.5%. That gives you roughly $259 million. You subtract the $53 million and change that you have outstanding, and that's your remaining debt capacity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have some questions, but I think maybe we want to ask administration. If we turn this bond down, are you telling me we don't have the money to do phase one, to make sure that the fire department has your thing?
That's correct.
You have, I've been looking at buckets of money for 6 years now, and I'm not too sure what's in those buckets. We're saving money for parks and recreation and repainting bike lanes that shouldn't be there anyway. I digress, I'm sorry. I just want to make damn sure that I want the fire department to have phase one done. If you're telling us by fact that we don't have the money to do phase one without a bond issue, I'll accept that. I still will not accept 30 million. I'll accept at a maximum 10 to cover that part, because I think that's very, very important, that the fire department have a place to house what they're doing. But these are these are figures, and I know you guys are great.
Oh, no, I understand.
Putting you in the middle, and it's not fair to you, because I know you could be home with your families, as an
No,
example.
I just hope that I'm giving you all the information that I could think of that you would want as council members to make the decision.
Right.
My brain is sort of really struggling wrapping around. So in less than 10 years, we are going to be expected to be paying 10 million, almost 11 million back in less than 10 years. And I have no idea where that's going to come from as a city. We're struggling to pave our streets. We're struggling to keep up with the services that we offer. We're going to double what we're going to be asking taxpayers to help us pay back in. And I fully agree we need phase one. Fully agree. We can't, it's not safe for we need this to happen. We're taking a huge, we're hoping that the markets trend in a way that we could refinance this, but we don't know. And that's, the burden is going to fall on taxpayers. It's going to fall on taxpayers. And services, when you look at by 2023, we're doubling what we're going to be paying back. And that has to come from somewhere. That has to come from what we offer in the general fund. And that's the other part that I'm struggling with this is we need these things to happen. We have to have fire, we have to have police. This is huge what we're going to be asking of our residents that are hurting right now. And that's just where we are.
No, I completely understand.
Just where we are.
Now, and just for the record, though, too, that $10 million debt service is already there. This item is not adding, this number does not get you to that $10 million. This is adding, a little more on top of that. So the
So
cliff that
bigger
you're
than
looking.
10 million?
This isn't affecting the 10, this is later.
The 10 million's here.
I know, but I will still be alive and in the city and paying into taxes. And so, and as I hope everyone else here will be, just for the record.
Yeah, so
But I-
it's existing is 9.2, in 2033, you're gonna be at 9.263.
Yes.
And then what is being suggested is that 1.7 be added to that.
But then they're from 2033 to 2039, we're at 10 million, almost 11 million a year.
Correct, but I just wanted to have it stated that it's not this issue that's adding
No,
$10
no, no,
million.
no, yes.
It's just a little bit on top of what's
But
already
it'll
existing.
extend that,
Done.
yeah.
Right.
Knox Law Firm has done this before for the city of Erie.
Yes.
You haven't had any major problems with us paying things. They've always made their payments, yeah.
I'm not aware of any defaults, correct.
A, stable is a good grade to have.
Correct.
A teacher gives a student an A when they do well.
Is that how it works?
You have had a good working relationship with PNC Bank. They are a stable bank to respect and do business with.
Correct.
For me, that's not at all in question, at all. This makes sense, I see it. Where I keep coming back to and where I am stuck is the Miller Brother project in a whole, right? We all agree, and I don't think there's any dispute around phase one. But what we are saying is to take out this entirety to pay for a project we don't fully know the full parameters around. Once we vote forward, there is no going back, right? This whole project, so if it is out of the parameters, we don't have the complete environmental assessment, if there's anything that is more than, we're locked in. We're locked in. Well past phase one. We're going all the way through. Tomorrow, our vote is, it's that. I think that's where my frustration is we don't fully know the scope, but tomorrow we lock in, and if we lock in, we're in it for the long haul, whether it is a benefit fully all the way through or not a benefit. And we are asking the taxpayers of the community to saddle this burden the whole way through, whether it completely makes sense past phase one or if it doesn't make sense past phase one. We're in it.
On that note, how much expense is it to issue 3 bonds and do it in each of the phases? Like, is there a benefit to doing this all in one lump sum? Or is there a reasonable solution that we fund phase one, work on that, finish that, issue a new bond for phase two? It's expected that we're looking at a 25 basis point drop, maybe 50 if the job report comes down, out poorly. There's lots of reasons to think that interest rates might reduce in the future. Like, is there any benefit to doing this all at now when we could be doing it in phases, since the construction's not happening all now?
Sorry. The only reason you would look to finance this all right now is to save on cost of issuance, but there are certain costs of issuance that are fixed that you'll pay multiple times, but there's also, I do multiple projects that are broken up in phases as you implement the different phases, so.
Back of the envelope this with me a little bit. Like, what kind of numbers are we talking about over the course of a $50 million issuance?
Let me just tell you. I would say somewhere around $75,000.
Each time?
Mm-hmm.
So if we break this into 3 phases, it'll cost the city $150,000 out of $50 million?
Correct.
Okay.
And a $10 million project fits within the parameters you're passing. The parameters,
Yeah,
I'll
so.
let the attorney talk about this.
So what I was jumping to, but you got to before me, is we're doing a not to exceed tomorrow. So before we close, if you say it's 10, we can do 10.
But we can't. That's the, like, we as council cannot say that, right? Once we pass what's on the agenda tomorrow, we've already put it to exceed. Then we've taken ourselves out of the picture.
No, we can amend it to 10, can't we?
Well, the document that you'd be passing tomorrow is an ordinance that we would be submitting to the Department of Community and Economic Development for the purpose of having the debt authorization. Once it is finalized and we actually issue the bonds, we will then communicate with the department to let them know what the actual issuance cost was so they can properly hit your debt schedule. How you would amend, I don't think you could amend this ordinance after we apply.
We have to make a decision tomorrow morning. And I myself will not vote for that, the big bond right now. For 75,000, I'm willing to bet that we would save that 75,000 on the interest rate change a year from now, the way things are going. Unless war breaks out. That's all I'm saying. Besides that, a new administration's gonna come in, Democrat or Republican. Let them be wrestling with the rest of that. My main concern right now, again, is the fire department in phase 1. And I would go with the 10 million, and I only speak for myself. I wish I knew our budget better, because I think there's probably money there. Robin Peter to pay Paul, though.
Let me think for a second.
I know it's
6:30.
complicated. How do you think we
making
feel when we don't really understand this completely? And it's being thrown in our face 12 hours before we have to vote.
I mean, and this isn't your
Yeah,
problem,
no,
but
you
like,
guys are great.
we lost a federal appropriation this year of what, $3 million towards, I mean, there's a bunch of things that we were moving forward under the assumption of, that now we're moving under a very dramatic difference.
We could take a straw vote to say if we could amend the resolution to accommodate a smaller bond issue, and it could still move forward with the bond rating.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. Excuse the sidebar.
Do you want to use the caucus room for a few
Yeah,
minutes?
could we have a,
Yeah.
just a
Yeah,
brief
we're gonna
second?
try to
Yeah.
have a
Before I go on the
solution.
record with a crazy idea.
That door open?
Well, I've been no all along, but if.
I mean, if we move this through, which I'm not in favor of, I would, where it stands right now. What goes away? Because something has to go away, because there's no projected revenue that's been presented. There's just the money, we only have what we have. Sorry, I should have had a Snickers before I came.
Ed, can you pour me a glass of water, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Okay, so for 2026, we've still got about 5 million in in the water reserve, water prepayment fund.
Thank you.
So, going into the future, I mean, that's lasted a few years longer than we expected it to. So, but I'm gonna say that 26 would be the final year for that, so something's going to have to happen after 26. We've gone 6 years without a tax increase.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable. In that 6 years, inflation has soared. And all of our union contracts have increased every year. It's unfathomable that you could keep not increasing your revenues, but the only reason we were able to do that was that we had that lease prepayment money. We had 16 million. And we had a couple of really fortunate years as far as weather went, so we didn't have a lot of overtime, and we had some holes in our staff, so we were 2 million under in staffing and benefits 2 years in a row. So I guess I'm saying that at some point we have to address incremental, small incremental increases in property tax every year.
There's 5 mil in the revenue, water revenue. What kind of money is still sitting in the buckets that haven't been spent?
ARP.
The ARP? The ARP buckets?
Yeah.
I think there's in the neighborhood of 21 million left that hasn't been spent, and I would
Is
have
that
to.
21 million all
That's
life-saving projects, or are they?
4 million for parks.
4 million for parks, there's police staffing, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but
But we know we can't afford to do the fire department. portion.
we don't have 10 million in there for phase one, no.
And what is the water reserve amount?
It's, let's see,
It's gonna be about
4,964,000, according to my mid-year projection, if we come out where I projected us, we'll have 4.9 million.
It's not the water reserve, it's the water.
Water
Prepayment.
prepayment. Yeah, it's the lease prepayment.
And just to clarify too, on the reason why we're going for the $30 million bond is because phase 2 is the emergency operations center for police and fire, which is also housed at Marsh Street and needs to be moved. We could go out for bid for the final design of phase 2 this fall. That was in the timeline that we presented to you at the last study session, but we can't do it without the funding. So phase 2 is also slated to be about $10 million. So we need to have the money to do the final design for phase 2 and then to implement that part of the project. The longer it takes, the more costs are the construction costs are gonna increase. So that's why we were looking at it as a package deal to get the whole thing done without having to keep stopping and starting.
Outside of Marsh Street, are there any other facilities that we're looking to condense? Or we're going to be maintaining all the existing facilities in addition to this facility?
The bomb squad and SWAT would also move into Miller Brothers. Or, I'm sorry, yeah, into Miller Brothers. Marsh would move into Miller Brothers.
Where is the bomb squad currently?
They're in
Here.
a separate building.
Okay. So essentially, we would condense in like 2 spaces?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Hello?
And
Have
then,
your seats back.
so once they're out of Marsh, Marsh is done?
No,
No?
we still have things in Marsh.
Phase 2.
The idea would be to get out of Marsh eventually, and then the zoo has the right of first refusal on that property. And that's the-
Okay. So would you guys sidebar with?
Want me to?
Yeah, I think this is more legal.
So, if you're not willing to issue the bond as it has been proposed, and you only want to issue a bond for one phase, then we would ask that you table this, so to allow us to redraft the documents to put it at the figure that you're comfortable with, and that you still move forward with the Erie Sewer authorization tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we can come back and we'll rework the numbers and come up with a different option. If the 53 is not going to work and it's not going to pass, rather than have it voted down, we'd rather come, or the 52,350, we'd rather come back with a number that is going to pass.
And accomplishes the goal that council wants it to accomplish, whether it's phase one and phase two. The number 53, as when Tim Sen was here, contemplates me being able to structure the bond. So what I would need from you guys is direction. Do you want a not to exceed that only contemplates phase one, or do you want a not to exceed that contemplates phase one or two? And I have to rework that not to exceed number to fit all the options. And that would give you comfort that only what you're voting on would get done.
And we had gone through the mental gymnastics of trying to figure out how we could structure phases into this current issue, but until and unless we know what the project's going to be, it's just not, I don't think it's feasible.
I'll put my cards on the table for the sake of, understanding that phase one and phase two are coming on right one after another. I'm comfortable with 25 million as a number, as long as we're not doing any capitalization of interest as well. Those are the two things I'm concerned about. I'd like the new money financing. Now, I've voted against it at the first two steps. I voted in favor, and we bought the space when I was president council. But given the change of some of the climate of how we were looking to finance this, those are the spots where that's the limits that I put on the table for my own vote. But you might get 4 votes without me on a different number. But that's where I'm at.
If we were doing I would vote this down tomorrow.
Yeah.
As it currently stands.
I would vote for it because I've done the water bond before, and sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith. And
No, she's saying the whole thing.
She wants the whole thing.
I would vote on all 50, yeah.
And I'm with Kathy on that one. I'm in favor of voting as is to put it on the agenda, but we're just two, so everybody has their vote to do what they need to do tomorrow morning.
Rather than take any kind of a chance on it, maybe we should kind of informally agree to table this until we know more about what we're doing.
Is that a possibility where we table this part tomorrow? We have the 3 options at the next one where we could put forward like 25, 10, or the full.
And I think it's important, the capitalization interest, that there's a chance that we can really set up the budget to look beautiful in 2026 and absolutely blow stuff up in 2027, the way things are looking right now. With the last $5 million that we have in the water prepayment fund, like there's a few things we could do to balance some things out that would leave us in a really big hole. So I'm very particular that I don't want to see the capitalization interest up front.
Dr. Titus, in my opinion, I would prefer not to leave here tonight without those parameters figured out so that we can put this together one time. I mean, if you remember at the last city caucus meeting I was at on this particular thing, I said, if we're going to vote it down, let me know today, 2 months ago, because, Alicia and our office, there's significant costs that have been incurred to put all of this together. So I would like to have that parameters this evening so that we know what to put together for you.
For me, and I know we all have to vote our conscience on this, I just want to know then what is projected that we cut out of the budget. And that's not you guys can't make that one. What we are putting, we don't have the money to pay for this. So what are we willing to cut? Like, we have to ask ourselves that. Like, what are we cutting out of the budget?
Raise taxes.
That won't cover it.
It can always cover it. I don't want it to. Up to 30 mils.
So the projected debt service is on 52,350. If you only end up doing 30 of that, the debt service isn't going to be that much.
But is we're cut out of that part. We can't decide it anymore. So so we were elected to do a certain part, and then once we opt ourselves out of any power and control in that capacity, we're out of that power and control. Like, so that's where
If we table it, maybe we can find out exactly what 21 million in ARP money is doing and how important that is being done as to how important it is to get something going here with our phase.
Well, I know for a fact that I'm not going to be in favor of moving any of the park and recreation ARP money. We already moved $1 million out of that bucket. There used to be 5, so I'm not in favor of touching that for anything other than parks and recreation.
I agree with Jasmine with Parks and Recreation.
That's the only thing the city gets.
But I also, we have not raised taxes, and you can't just hold the line forever. You have to do it little by little by little.
Then ain't gonna get it. It's gotta be lot by lot by lot if we go the way we're going right now.
And I'm with you on that. That's why the capitalization part's important. Those 3 options. That's why that's important. That's a $500,000 difference in taxes.
What do you need from us, Esquire?
Sir, I have 2 yeses, 1 no, and a request to table to reconvene at another date. There's still 2 members from whom I don't know which way you're going to go. If they're, that would be helpful.
Who don't you know?
Bell and Bow.
M&M.
What do you have Ed down for? I didn't have him down yet.
He's a table.
Yeah, but did you want us to have a
ask-
number? Did you want us to have a number with the table?
If 2 votes
I'm a
come
no
forward,
for the 30 million.
you're a no for the big shot.
Yeah,
Okay,
Right now. Yeah.
got it.
Do you have a number that you're a yes at?
I want phase 1 done for Lenny, for the fire guys. I would like, if
See,
it's
and that's my
10,
concern.
10, 10.
Phase 1, I'll be honest with you, I don't care how the hell you get it.
Yes.
I'll be in for the
Yeah.
phase 1.
You tell me how we get phase.
More than, I think, before you settle on a number, there's more things to talk about before you tell him a number.
It's a plan.
Tyler, you were just no across the board?
Because you have, I think you
I'm
have
not
to
a
look
no
at
across
phase
the board.
2,
I'm a no on the current.
Because there's a lot of money,
Yes,
grant money
phase 3.
riding on
Yeah,
phase 2.
I would go.
That we have to also
Yeah.
take into consideration. It just depends on what we do here.
Definitely phase 1, yeah.
We have their request out for phase 2 in the amount of $4 million. So if we get that funding and we can't move forward with phase 2, we'll lose that funding.
And include the congressional
That's
appropriation.
3 million congressional appropriations and $1 million from the state.
And
It's always.
I'm frustrated. I feel like that we again got kind of backed into a corner here without the full plan. And I feel like that this is, again, and I know there's a lot of federal things that happened, there's monies that were lost here, and I know this is a project that are working, but
This is what we presented at the last study session. I
Yeah.
can resend out the PowerPoint, but it had all the timelines, the grants, all the different phases.
the bond wasn't, that wasn't discussed.
What's that?
The funding model has shifted quite a bit, very rapidly.
We've always said that we may have to move forward with one issue to get it done.
But not for the entirety.
No, yes.
That's never been the case. And that's the part that you have me with the brakes on. We always are.
$5 million in grants,
Yeah.
presumably we may not need the full $30 million.
Well,
Why can't we use the 5 million grants in the first phase?
it's assigned to phase 2.
I mean,
Well,
What's your best advice on the whole thing, or three phases? What would be your best?
I want to know, I just mentioned this to Tim, if you do have more presentations tonight, and this presentation is in the middle of other presentations.
Yep.
Tim and I are coming back tomorrow morning at 8:30. Would it be helpful for you guys to hear the rest of your presentations and then maybe answer Tim's question tomorrow morning at caucus?
yeah.
And if you needed us to be here before 8:30 and there was a time,
We couldn't
we could.
legally do that because we haven't had, so,
Oh, right, you've advertised
your
copies, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we'd have to do it at 8:30.
We
Okay.
can talk to you during the meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
There's ways it could work.
Three of us at a time.
Seems like a lot of the questions you have, we cannot answer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
You've opened up our options.
we're willing to, I mean, you put up the hoop and we'll figure out how to jump through it.
you tell us phase 1, phase 2. You tell us what the resolution you want it to look like, that council would approve, and I have to fit the numbers. I want you to know if you want me to fund a $20 million project, the not to exceed will still likely be $30 million because of how you have to do not to exceeds, but we can put verbiage in the ordinance that will give you comfort that PNC can't fund a project larger than X, and that X can be whatever number you say it will be. I need that number to rerun the schedules, create a new not to exceed number. So I think we've laid a lot on you, and I apologize, but I hope that we're giving you options that would get whatever is the majority wants to get done.
I have found your
No,
presentation
you-
to be incredibly helpful.
You
so
did a great
thank you.
job. You-
Chief, would you come up, please?
Thanks.
Alicia, what's
You
the
guys can
timeline
leave,
on
though.
that process?
Yeah.
To run new
Yeah, I
numbers?
want to hear what the chief has
We'll
to
see
say.
you, yeah.
If you give me, you have to tell me this is how much the city would be willing to borrow. If you say it's 2 phases, then you have to go on the best number that you have, whether it's 10 or 20 million. And then I have to run a bunch of schedules that literally would take me an afternoon.
So it would be on the next agenda.
It could be on the next agenda as long as I get the numbers. Do you have to amend the ad?
I honestly don't remember what's in the ad right now. I'd have to take a look at the ad, and then I may have to rerun it.
Yeah, when is the next voting?
September 17th, I think, is the next Wednesday.
September 17th, and if we go back, if you had to do an ad, when would you want it in the paperback?
September 17th is a Wednesday. I'd like to run it on Friday, ideally. Friday, the 11th,
That's a
12th,
Thursday.
12th,
Okay.
and yeah.
All I would ask is that you contemplate the sewer authorities,
Yeah, I don't think that one's.
because that,
Yeah,
That
that's
one.
sure.
but what I want you to know is, and the reason why the sewer has 2 resolutions is because your debt is so closely tied. If you do a resolution, if you don't do a bond issue, it affects what their not to exceed amount is because your debt is overlapping. So if you can vote tomorrow on the correct sewer resolution that Tim will add advice to, we can contemplate what you'd like to do for the 17th meeting.
So the sewer revenue ordinance for tomorrow would be for the $68,460,000.
But if we were to put through this entire one, we would actually have to drop that down.
Then the sewer revenue bond would be for $59,700,000.
Okay.
And we're prepared either way.
Okay. So if we don't move forward on our end, would it then go to their max?
It would go to the 68, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Which would then change our numbers anyway.
I would like to hear the chief's position.
Yes.
Does anybody know if we table this and they redo it on the 17th, is that the second reading, or are we going back to
Yeah,
the first
yeah,
reading?
it's a second reading. That's why we're doing it that way.
Versus restarting, yeah, it would be the second.
So, because
Does it make a difference,
if
though?
it's not going to pass, and we don't know that, I don't know that right now, and they don't know if it's going to pass, we have to keep moving. We don't have time. As it is, if you table it, we have just set back everything
2
by
weeks.
2 to
Yeah.
4 weeks because of advertising, bids,
Right.
and all that stuff. And before, hopefully, before we leave here tonight, you have a number. And I think that we have a lot more information to give you before you pick that number.
Why'd you wait till now, chief?
I have asked all of you if you have any questions, if you want to see the place, anything you need, I've said, call me. So I have reached out to everyone And
But we
think
just
you
got this
know we're
package
100%
tonight, so like we
behind
only
you.
had part of, like we.
Well, that's
I
not
couldn't
on me,
ask-
that's-
No, and I'm not
you know.
blaming
Not on
anybody,
me
but
either.
I think like to shift it all onto council, like I think we can only ask the questions with the information we're provided. So if we don't have the full package, we don't even know what we have to ask yet. And that's where I've been stuck.
But Adam said October 2, the bids are due on
For phase
phase
one.
1.
And that will get backed up, because if there is no money to pay for that, then there's no sense in going out to bid for it.
Well,
I mean, you guys have said you will fund phase 1 no matter what, but I think you have to hear the rest of it and consider more than just phase. Maybe you don't, apparently there's big decisions or, thoughts against the entire project, but if you're gonna scale it back, I think you need to hear the phases and the importance and how it all ties in.
But also with your 2 readings, it sounds like to me that you could actually pass this on the first reading tomorrow.
We already passed the first one.
You already passed the first one?
Yeah. Last week.
Never mind.
and Jasmine and I believe in this. Public safety is number one. I mean, I hate to say what's on the news, but, they just had a thing where 57 shots were fired in Chicago over Labor Day weekend. 8 people died, and now the federal people are going into Chicago. Public safety, fire and police are a component of living calmly in your neighborhood, feeling safe. That project is a major role in providing safety, not just for the central neighborhood, but extending out through our entire community. It's expensive, and I do have the feeling that there's going to be, that it's a federal issue, so they're going to give us grant money for this along the way. That's how firmly I believe in this.
And know that we are after every dollar there is available out there for this.
So remind us when things go out to bid. The first phase is already out to bid. Second phase, you're looking to put out to bid in November. When would the third phase go out to bid?
Well, the first phase of phase 1 is done. That's the $1 million for
Yeah.
the roof.
Yeah, sure.
So the second phase of phase 1 is going to go out the bids will be open on October 2nd. Okay? Then phase 2 of the entire project, if we have a bond and we have the money, will go out for a RFP for the architects to start with the design process of phase 2. That, until we get the federal money in the spring, we can't move forward with the project. We are allowed to design it, and that saves us time. So we would start the design phase on that.
Okay.
On
Do you know when
phase 2.
phase 3 would go out to design or anything like that? Do we
No,
have time?
I
Okay.
don't know that.
Okay. Is that something anyone else knows?
Probably next year.
Okay.
Tim, you already have 68 on that sewer. Was that contemplating this other one not going?
It's easier to reduce it
Okay,
during the meeting than it would be to increase it.
okay.
So I agree with him, and different reasons, he has different reasons than I do, but we need to figure this out tonight and tomorrow.
So we're talking about, and I'm just trying to throw out an option. We're talking about a $30 million project. And Chuck, you've agreed to $25 million with no new money.
With no, yeah.
With no capitalization.
Yeah, with no
All
capitalization
new money.
interest.
That doesn't say no.
Yeah.
That's an M for million,
Yeah.
sorry. My handwriting writing.
Yeah, that would cover the first two phases, it sounds like, with some cushion.
With a little bit of cushion, and then, is there enough support for that going around the table? Phase 1 and phase 2?
You can do phase 3 next year. Yeah, leave it up to next year. Let it be next year's problem. It's not going to go out to bid till next year. You can issue a new bond next year for it.
I mean, just to help you to get to a number, I don't care what the number is, but, if you're contemplating phase 1, and then you're quickly gonna go out for an RFP for phase 2, but you're not gonna go out for the RFP for phase 2 unless you have the money in place, and you need that before you can even consider a phase 3, then there's some art behind what he's saying in terms of doing phase 1 and phase 2, funding it now, and allowing those to occur, and then you can figure out phase 3 next year.
Well, if we had a compromise, I would go to the compromise of what you're saying.
Yeah.
They were taking out over $1 million from the ARP interest for capital funds. It's amazing when you think about taking some of that money out for phase 1 of.
We did. That's what it's for the roof.
That's for the roof?
Yeah,
Then why we
that money from the ARP interest is paying for the roof.
And we moved that money over to do that.
Then why are we talking about it now?
That's just the roof. What we're talking about now is
We
the
voted to
entire-
move it into the capital fund,
Right.
and now it's being expended from the capital fund.
Okay.
But you would still need 2 weeks to put that together.
I mean, it wouldn't be ready for tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Because we
Sure.
have some, not to exceed, some debt schedules to put together and the like.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will hold you up. Lisa and I have already been working as if a bond issue was going to be done. If this gives everybody more comfort and it meets all the goals, and it passes on the 17th, I can send the rating package on the 18th, have the rating back in a month, and still sell bonds by the end of October. That should accomplish whatever goals the city wants to accomplish. If the 2 weeks is essential to getting this exactly right.
Are the favorable nods that they understand her, or that,
Yeah, please tell me if what I'm saying isn't if I haven't answered or given you enough to maybe.
I would
where you're
request the
going.
2 weeks that we table to get this set of numbers. I'm more comfortable moving in that direction where we are right now. I will be an adamant no tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if we could table, that changes the discussion for me, in my understanding of it.
and then have it on the agenda
For
at
the 17th.
25 million for 17?
Yes.
They're asking you to vote yes, that you're going to, because all their work right
Yeah.
now is nothing, and then they're gonna do more work, and then on the 17th, you have more questions.
I understand.
They're not gonna be happy with that.
Well, no, I'm happy.
I think
I'm
they are
happy.
actually happy. They're getting paid to do that.
Well, no, I don't want to do this in a manner you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I want this to look like what you want it to look like. And this is for the 7 of you to discuss, and we will be back here in the morning, and you can tell us what you want the next Knox to exceed to accomplish for you.
You couldn't just change it to 25 for tomorrow?
I think that structurally changes the ordinance. I don't know that you can.
A different number?
It would just, he's gonna have to charge us a 50% higher billable, but, it'll be an all-nighter.
We get paid close. Thank you. Although we could change the not to exceed to 25.
You can't change the not to exceed to 25 if you want me to be able to sell 25.
Right, that's right. We're not gonna be able to do that until we do the not to
You
exceed.
could write in there that the bond issue can't exceed a number and give them the protection, but I can't. Please know that if you tell me to do 25, the number on the front cover will never be 25 because I'm not selling the bonds tomorrow, and bonds sell at a premium or a discount, and I need room to structure the bonds when I actually sell them. But what Knox can do is write in the resolution that PNC cannot issue more than blank amount in principal or blank amount in project dollars. He could write that in there. You'd have to pass the resolution exactly as it looks, knowing that any bond issue under 30 million will fit in this box I've created.
Let me really throw a wrench into this. I'm gonna vote for the 30. What the hell's the difference? If we're gonna go for 25, might as well go for 30. I'm gonna be dead by the time we've gotta worry about paying it back anyway. I mean, we're bouncing around like crazy.
I'm gonna keep you alive.
Well, just, I guess,
You know what I'm
to
saying?
that point,
5
to
million, what
that
the hell?
point. You
That's
said
chump
if you,
change.
when Kathy asked the question, what if we don't spend it all? Then you can use it to make the payments or some other,
But we're not gonna issue 52
correct.
million.
But that was at 30.
$350,000.
That was at 30, when we were looking
That
at
was at
30.
30. I mean,
She
there's-
asked the question, you said you could use extra to make payments or some other approved
Right.
project. So, to Ed's point, if we're gonna do 25, we do 30.
But that's
If-
still not
and
what,
if- and if
isn't
we
it
still
50
keep it down
million on the agenda tomorrow?
to phase
Still
one and
different numbers.
phase two, then you just have more left over.
Well, the issue here is that you don't have the ability to impact what is, it sounds like that city council doesn't have the ability to say to the administration,
Don't exceed this. or-
don't exceed this.
Yes.
I can write into the ordinance that there would be no more than $30 million worth of project
Yeah.
monies issued.
Which would still require a tabling of tomorrow and then coming
I
back to it
can
on the
put that in
17th.
for tomorrow.
Would be,
I can go back to the office and write that up and get a new one out.
Changing it from 54 to 30?
No, it will still say 54,
Okay.
but I will put a provision in there that not more than $30 million is issued. So,
Well, I was,
so the
but I,
54,
I was saying less than that, because that does all 3 phases. I'm saying the first 2 phases. So I would be looking at a lower number still than 30.
May I ask my council colleagues if we could just let us know, maybe it would pass with the full 52, the way it is written currently, the way it was voted on in the resolution or the ordinance or whatever, last week or the last time we met. We affirmed it the last time we met. This is the second vote.
Passed 3 to 2 last time.
you passed by one vote, yeah.
Okay, so,
I'm in favor of the, I'm in favor of the 3 phases
so you would be with Jasmine and myself for a third?
with the 3 phases.
No,
As explained, I think Chuck just.
So not the
explained
full
that.
50 million right off the bat, like breaking it down into a smaller number.
You're in favor of how it's written, or
In favor of
different?
30 million?
different-
30.
these 3 issues is what he's suggesting.
There's 4 for 30. Game's over.
1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm saying 1 and 2. That's my middle spot. He's 1 and 2.
I'm at least one, but I'm a no on tomorrow, how it's written.
Yeah. So right now we're 1, 2, 3 on the ordinance. That's 30 million times 54. So when I said 25, I'm saying that's 2. I understand that it has to be above what the 20 is. Like, whatever the number it has to be for the, if 2 phases is 20 million, whatever number it has to be above that, looks like it's 40% higher or something like that. You know, like that's what I'm looking at.
No, but the next resolution would have more concrete
Yeah.
language in there to make sure that what you're telling us is actually what would be accomplished.
So my goal would be 2 phases and that there wouldn't be any capitalization of interest.
I like the capitalization of the interest that you're suggested for phase 2. I guess for me, I don't really have the issue with going and voting on phase 3, just because it's going to need to get done. I'm not quite sure how Mo feels about voting on phase 3. I don't know if he wants to vote just the 1 to 2 like how everybody else does. But I mean,
We do 3 next year.
and that's the
I mean,
thing,
it
is that we're
sounds
gonna
like
be
to
here
me
next year.
Everybody's in favor of the whole project getting done, it's just that, just different ways of getting it done. So you're saying do it all at once, some people saying do it like this, but it sounds like everybody wants the whole thing. It's just how's it about going about doing it.
Good point, Mo.
That's what we're saying. It doesn't sound like
Exactly
everybody's
right.
saying, do 1 and don't do 2 and 3, and don't just leave it unfinished. It just sounds like, you know, that's what I'm hearing.
So you're for the 30?
1 and 2, I would be, but I mean, we're still gonna do 3.
Yeah.
Just gonna do it like that later. I'm not gonna leave it unfinished, that would be silly.
Yes. That's 5 votes for 30 then. So we put them through this for nothing.
Yeah, so, well, for the 2 phases, it's
No, 30 million is supposed to wrap it all up, right, Mayor? 30 million is it? And we can figure out how to pay for it as we go.
So it'd be like a $20 million leading to a $36 million up to generally?
We'd have to run the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in order to have actual numbers tomorrow, we wouldn't have actual
Yeah,
numbers
not
tomorrow. So it sounds like you're all, the 52,350 is the not to exceed of about a $30 million project.
Mhm.
And it gives Alicia the wiggle room she needs to be able to sell and pass the bonds. You're not going to see $52,350,000 worth of bond debt.
Mhm.
I'd love it if you would. No, I'm kidding. You're not going to see that. If you're saying now, we'll agree to spend up to $30 million, then this is your ordinance.
Yeah.
Because it's saying, because that's the amount you need for the not to exceed. If you're saying we want to go in for 20, then we got to go back and we do the numbers. Or I can write a revision to this ordinance which specifically says that PNC is only authorized to fund up to $20 million of project monies. And then we can go forward with what we have tomorrow. But it depends on where that number is.
Yeah, $20 million a project is where my number is, I think.
I thought you said 30.
30. That's because of the cushion that gets built into it of the not to exceed. $20 million projects covers the first 2 phases.
Yeah, let's not focus too much on the not to exceed
Yeah,
number, because
yeah.
I got to plug that into a formula. I think if you give us guidance on what you want this resolution to fund, I'll make that number fit what you tell me.
Yeah, so 2 phases is what I.
If a $52 million not to exceed was a $30 million, then a $20 million not to exceed is still going to be somewhere in the high
36,
30s, close to 40. So,
And just, it was mentioned before, it's not gonna lower the payment all that much.
Nope.
It doesn't change the debt service all that much.
I don't think that's true.
Probably by the cost of like 3 or 4 firefighter salaries.
if you take this top number and you divide it by 3, that's essentially what $10 million is, and then if you multiply it by 2, that 1.57 million will probably go down to 1.1.
600,000.
So,
I don't want to talk in terms of what people think are relative, that's not fair.
I guess what people
that's only 2 firefighters.
need to understand is that whatever
maybe
amount you're going to get the bond for, you're going to have wiggle room for whatever interest and refinancing and everything you're going to have to do later. Like, I think that's where we have to understand that the bond that we're approving isn't going to be the exact money that the city is going to get for whatever the project is, because you still need room, right?
But I think what Tim said is, in the next version of the resolution, he will write that in there specifically that says, PNC cannot fund projects in excess of $20 million, or whatever you tell me that number is, and then I'll build the not to exceed, but written within the document, that is the protection you'll get, that I can't legally do that.
And that's with the bond being what number?
Whatever you tell me.
Whatever the number
Okay.
she tells, whatever you're comfortable funding.
I'm comfortable with 30.
Mel, you're at 30?
Yeah,
Isn't that what we're at for tomorrow?
I thought we was at,
That's the original damn thing, get it done.
Phase 3, what does that include?
Each of them are
we was
10.
at 50.
We haven't discussed Phase 3 a lot. There's a lot of police stuff in Phase 3, and Public Works in Phase 3.
Police aren't even
After
here,
Phase
right?
2, and
Yeah,
I'm not
they-
trying to say
they
that
were. They
fire is more important,
I don't care.
but after Phase 2, fire is pretty much out of it. That's police and Public Works.
So you're cool with this plan? No, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
If
He didn't say that,
you're
right?
looking at, my understanding, if you're looking at 30 as a good number, then the ordinance they have in front of you is it. Because the 52 is a fictitious number that gives her room to work.
So then we're okay with the way it is? Because you're going to just do the 30?
I can put a project limitation of $30 million in the ordinance.
And we can vote on this tomorrow?
Yes. If we get consent of council that this is,
I would be a no on that, but
I'll
if
be
you
a
have
no
4
as well.
votes, you have 4 votes.
if 2,
They've got four.
Mo is 3.
Mo?
3,
I like
The 2 phases
Yeah.
thing, yeah,
2 phases.
so what number is that?
that's 20. Plus the room that you have to cushion in.
And Ed?
I don't know what the hell's going on anymore.
How many phases do you
I
want
got
to do?
the,
They're each 10 million.
I got the administration saying there's no money there, so we can't do anything. And then we're saying, okay, let's be smart about spending more money, and now we're gonna okay 30. If it's the will of the council, let it be. But I sure think it's foolhardy. I still think there's money in our budget upstairs. There's money I could have taken out of the last couple of budgets and wasn't able to do it. But it's, money moves around real well. And I just, I sat down here, I said my main concern was getting the fire situated in that place. But the more people talk, Rocky kind of muddied the waters with his 25 million thing, which made it ridiculous, because you're gonna do 25, you might as well do 30. It's up to you guys. Did I hear, is there 4 on the floor for the 30?
There's 3 on the floor for 30.
Who are 3?
Mel, Jasmine, and myself.
Then I gotta be the 4th one to get the damn thing done.
Cool, so we'll do tomorrow.
What?
Okay, so we're gonna run the ordinance as is with a new provision indicating that there,
Project not to exceed over.
project funds to be issued is not to exceed $30 million.
Holding teeth.
Are you good with that?
Yes.
I just, sorry, you guys had to go through the game. that's all.
No, this is what
This is
we,
what we did.
this is,
Happy to do it.
This is why they're lawyers.
I'm.
Oh, you're the
please don't
lawyer?
tag me.
You're the numbers girl.
I'm a
That's
banker.
important.
Yeah, numbers are important.
You're too kind to tag me being a lawyer.
Is there any, I feel that a lot of people came here, police, public works. Is there, I mean, do you guys have anything you want to come up and say to, talk about this?
No.
Because it's just not me. It's just,
Well, in that case, have a
There
good
is
evening.
no I in team.